Welcome to another episode of The Inquisitive Analyst. I'm your host, Marcus Udikang, and as you know, it's the show where we chat with business analysts and project managers about their challenges and triumphs, ideas, and their contribution to their field. It's inspiring, it's upbeat, and it's inquisitive. My guest today is a digital innovation manager with Greenpeace. He has an interest in architecting cloud strategy and service architecture for organizations, particularly in the area of data science. Please help me welcome to today's show, Torbjorn Zetterlund. Welcome, Torbjorn.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, we're glad to have you all the way from Holland. It's a long ways away.
There's a few time zones.
Just a few. So, Torbjorn, in your career, you've held many roles. You've been a director of IT, you've been a VP for tech company, you've been a publisher for digital content, and you've managed many other types of projects. So currently, you develop innovative technology ideas for Greenpeace. How did you start in IT, first of all, and how did you develop your career to where it is today?
Yeah, I actually got started a long time ago in 1980. I were about 22 years old or something, and I took a course, a one-year college course in programming. Got the job immediately after with a consulting company, and my client the whole time I worked for this company was Philips Telecommunications, so a Dutch company, and we were building solution, hardware, software for the banking industry and the retail industry at the time. And so I wasn't lured in or anything, it was just a coincidence I got into software development. I picked the right course in college. And I didn't really have or had any big plans of what I wanted to do or develop my career. It just came by itself. After a few years with Philips, I joined them. I then moved to work with them in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. And we were automating, or at the time, I was more focused on self-service banking, so bank machines. And we rolled out bank machines to clients in the Middle East. And then after a few years in Dubai, I moved to Toronto, Canada, and I joined a company called Oasis Technology as head of projects or director of project management. And we were, that software company, Oasis, also provided a software solution for banks. Actually, we connected with our competitors, the whole world, so you can use your debit and credit card anywhere today. That was what the software was doing. And within the company, I grew because I was always curious. So I said, oh, we don't have this function. Let me try that and see how it goes. So that's how I moved on and became VP of product marketing, which I really liked, actually, because it was a job where you had to come up with innovative way to using technology. The technology we had at the time. So, internet banking came after that. And we were working with clients to figure out how to use that. So I don't have a kind of a traditional way of mapping out my career or what my goals are every 5 years or so. It just came along.
That's part of it, probably a bit of luck, a bit of hard work. Bit of both.
Luck mostly, yeah. You'll be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, oh, cool.
And for the last 10 years, I've been with Greenpeace International. And Greenpeace International is based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I started with them as an application manager, and when the cloud started to evolve, I evolved with the cloud, and we do a lot of work, IT-related work in the cloud now. We do not have our own data center anymore. And I'm looking as a digital innovation manager, looking at ways how we can use technology or technology that hasn't really, doesn't exist yet in our campaigning activities. And a lot of that is data related, because whatever you do, any computer system, as soon as you press a keyboard, you collect data. So a lot is to what I like to say, trying to figure out what data we need to collect and how to use it in that can drive us forward in our decision making, but also in our campaigns, helping the people to do innovative things in those areas.
So what's a bit of a, if you summarize a bit of your role as a digital innovation manager, that's what the company does, which you summarized. But how about your role as a digital innovation manager? What does that encompass?
I'm very, I kind of gone back to my past, in the sense when I started out in IT, I was a programmer. We didn't call them programmer in those days. We call it system analyst. And I gone back, so I'm very hands-on. So I have done things like building an IoT device to collect data, environmental data for pollution, temperature, humidity with simple small tools. I connected it to cloud to collect all the data there, and then doing reporting on that to see. And those are just kind of showing what we could do. I'm not saying necessarily we are using it today, but these are the kind of thing I'm doing, right? And with the cloud, it's very much working with APIs, connecting different services together by pulling data from one end to the other end, adding data into a data warehouse, and then do some nice reporting on it.
Nice, cool. So you've in your career, you've worked on multiple projects, and having worked with project managers, what are a few areas that stand out to you as being sort of crucial for project success?
It's, I mean, it's planning to me, to plan the project properly, have the right stakeholders, depending on what your project, you know, as you are aware, there's a lot of small project internally that doesn't need to have, you know, key stakeholders in it, but you can do a big project for a client. Then you have to really get the requirements down, plan it out, having the stakeholders sign off on what you are going to do. Change management, I find, is one of the key parts for a project manager, for instance, to handle any changes, because that's where it often breaks when new requirement comes in and people wants to push that into a solution or a product or into the project itself before delivery. I mean, there's so many different variation of projects, right?
Yeah, true.
So it's hard to pinpoint specific, but planning, change management, I find, and have the right requirements when you start something. Now project management have changed a little bit. I mean, the industry have changed to cloud, right?
Yeah.
And the way to deliver project now, so it's a little different. People are using agile You don't really have a project manager in the agile process. You have a stakeholder or a product manager, and I find project manager are very suitable to become product manager and manage that aspects of things.
Yeah, that's true. Or even Scrum Masters, true. So how can project managers be a bit more effective and a bit more efficient, you think?
It's all down to personality, actually. in my view, sometimes you can get great project managers, that just are the person that in detail plans everything and don't, be sloppy, sort of. I can use that, because you have these project managers sometimes that I've been working with that basically don't understand everything, and they sort of doesn't ask the right question to understand. So the planning doesn't work that well sometimes. But as I said, there are so many different types of project managers also. You can have internal project manager that works with the developer and planning the work for the developer. You could have project manager that are client focused and work with the clients. And then you have project manager who has a combination of that.
Yeah, well, that's true, definitely. So you've worked a lot with cloud strategy and services, right?
In the last few years, yes.
Oh, last few years, huh? How
10 years.
Oh, holy geez, that's a lot. So how, in your experience, how and where can project managers be best used to optimize those cloud strategies and services?
I think they be excellent in product management, like product manager, and manage the process of the product development. I mentioned agile before. It's hard for me to see a role for a project manager in an agile process, right? But it depends on the size of the projects also, because you can have many agile teams also, right? So,
yeah.
So you may have a very senior project manager that not manage, but works with a product manager of delivering different part of a deliverable, right?
Right.
So either, so there are roles for them to do. They can also be part of what project managers often do, is negotiate the deliverables and cost and timeline with clients, right? So that they can, they do that pretty well, right? Depending on the project manager, right? But it's all down to the project manager itself, right? The skill sets in them and so on.
So how's, just out of curiosity, has Greenpeace gone mostly agile now with cloud, or are they still doing a bit of a hybrid?
We have project managers. They are more like product manager. We do have agile teams, so our support team is agile. Our ops team is agile, so they work in cycles of 1 or 2 weeks. So the work is planned. It's a combination.
What are some of the ways that project managers can sort of improve the business delivery process, you think?
What exactly do you mean with that?
Good question. well, I guess if it's a large and in charge, then they can really get things done. But if it's in an agile environment where you're more like a servant leader, maybe you don't have as much authority. Maybe that business delivery process is going to go a bit slower. I don't know. And so, yeah, there's ways that you have to go about to get things done more efficiently instead of using the traditional ways.
I mean, the idea with the agile is that you do a cycle and then you release something, right? So you're releasing product in a faster than you done in the more a traditional waterfall kind of environment where you build up to something and then you do a release, right?
Right.
In Agile is that, say, in the more traditional, you have the you may have many deliverables, but the release that you do includes, say, 10 features, right? In an Agile kind of environment, you may do 2 features and then you release the product, right? And then you add for each cycle that goes on, and you involve the client in, if it's a client-facing product, to provide input, and you get more and more features. So I have never really measured if it takes longer or shorter. I feel like from the perspective that you use Agile and you're releasing a product, it may be shorter till you start using something, but you may not have all the features there initially.
Yeah.
And the question is, when you have all the features there, would that has time frame? Is that the same as you would build everything and release it on one day? That I cannot really tell. I have never measured that, right?
But the idea is supposed to try to improve the efficiency. But even if you can't improve, even if you can't improve it, at least you can go back and fix it again if you need to within a short time frame. So that's the idea.
So the Agile is more flexible that way. If the traditional way that we done in the past, changes, bugs were often fixed very quickly, but features may take time sometimes, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. So I'm curious actually too, because you and I both are into cycling, and I'm just curious if you're cycling to work quite often, or if you've dropped your bicycle. If you put it aside.
It's a cycling environment here in Amsterdam.
Okay.
Everyone cycle, and I don't have my camera pointing outside, but you will see cyclists passing by all the time. So question, now the offices are closed, so we cannot go to work. So we all work from home. So my cycling has not been as much as it used to be. But when the office was open, I went there every day. I cycle, but I only have 3 kilometers to work by bicycle or walking. But I always took a 25-kilometer ride before I got to work. So,
that's amazing. I think I think that's a recipe. That's certainly an Agile recipe that I think most project managers or even digital innovation managers should take on. I think it's great. All over the world, they should do this if they can.
If they can, yes.
They can.
I mean, it's possible everywhere. I mean, both you and me live in colder climates, right? We do have snow, but you can cycle in those conditions also. You probably get more snow where you are than what we get here, but it's almost becoming year-round cycling here now in the Netherlands.
That's incredible. That's great. So if anyone wants to get in touch
from the environmental perspective, it's not great.
Yeah, I was going to say for environmental. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Torbjorn, how can they do that?
I do have a website. It's torbjornzetterlund.com.
Okay.
Or they can reach me on my personal email address, which is TZETTER@thunderbeardesign.com. Thunderbear is my name in English.
Oh, okay. Right.
Kind of loosely translated.
Oh, nice.
Because Torbjorn is 2 names put together, right? Tor and Björn. And Tor is the thunder god, right?
Okay.
And Björn means bear.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I know a famous Swede tennis player, Björn Borg.
Yes.
Yeah.
So his name in English would be Bear Castle.
Oh my heavens. That's
No one
interesting.
called him that, right?
Yeah, no, that's funny. This has been amazing, Torbjorn. Thanks very much for your time. And
All right.
yeah, it's been a great conversation about the cloud and cloud strategies and services. That's fantastic.
All right.